Good afternoon. I'm Reverend Linda Robinson. I'm on the ministerial staff at St. James African Methodist Episcopal Church here in the city of Cleveland. I have lived in Cleveland my entire life, and I'm not going to tell you how many years that's been. But as a lifelong Clevelander, I love this city. I can't imagine living anywhere else. I was born and raised in Fairfax. I lived in Buckeye Woodland for a while, and I now live in Glenville. That's where I make my home, and that's where I had my home built because I was dedicated to living in Cleveland. I was a teacher, and I was also a member of the Teachers Union in Cleveland. I taught for 31 years before I retired. I would like to address my first comments to Mr. Brady. I read in the newspaper that yesterday that you had some comments about GCC needing to be educated. Well, I beg to differ with that because I think we are educated. We've done our due diligence. And I want to say that we are not opposed to unions. We're not opposed to the deal per se. We would just like to see the deal made a little better. So I would like to spend some time educating Mr. Brady a bit. Over the past 3 days, 4 teenagers were shot in Cleveland streets, including one young man who was killed while playing basketball in front of an elementary school. Another boy was shot right in my own neighborhood last night. Aliana DeFries was an innocent 14-year-old who was murdered on her way to school and had her dead body dumped in an abandoned house. And I'd also like to say that when I taught at South High School, one of my former students was murdered and found dead in a house on 93rd Street. So this really hits home for me. We've had people in Cuyahoga County die from heroin overdoses. 46 of those people died in January. Cleveland is one of the poorest cities in America. It's the epicenter of the foreclosure crisis and the heroin epidemic. And Mr. Brady, let me tell you, it's getting worse, not better. Those are the realities I see around me every day in my neighborhood in Glenville and where my church is in Fairfax. There's a lot that can be improved. And I don't think you should have the gall to try to educate us. Mr. Budish, you recently lectured us about how much money the county puts into health and human services as a justification for the Q deal. Okay, let me just try to get to the point because I hear the bell going off, and when you've been a teacher, you know the bell means there's going to be a change in the classroom. People have to move on. We would like to invite you to spend some time going with us through our neighborhoods so that you can see what we see. For example, on Lakeview Road, which is not far from me, there are lots of abandoned buildings that need to either be rehabbed or torn down so that we don't have any more Aliana DeFrieses, or as I said, the student that I had who wound up in a house that could have been used for some other purposes. We believe in the Cavs. We believe that the development should go forward, but what we would like to see is some equity. And I hope that at some future date, you will allow us to have a conversation based around that. Thank you very much for your attention. I appreciate it.
The next 3 speakers are Pastor Gibson, Reverend Yvonne Connor, and Gregory Terrell.